Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another great episode of Humble Beginnings, Great Expectations. We are here today again at Sterling Cigar, a comfortable place with all the vibe. We're here today with Rushdan, Land on Your Feet, CEO, leader, veteran. Come with me, don't forget to subscribe. Let's see what's going on.
Be humble. Be humble. Sit down. Sit down. Be humble. Be humble. Sit down. Sit down. Be humble. Be humble. Sit down. Sit down. Be humble. Be humble. Sit down.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Humble Beginnings, Great Expectations. I'm your host, Jeremy Johnson. I run a real estate company by the name of 7J Finance, Commercial, and Consulting. I think we found a temporary home here at Sterling Cigar. It just got great vibes. We have a very special guest this morning. I'd like to introduce to you to Rushdan.
Hi, everybody. How we doing today? How we doing today? Hope you're following some goodness.
That's what's up. That's what's up. Rush, welcome. Thank you very much for your time today, man. You know, we've been knowing each other for a few years now. And, you know, the fact that we don't have to be friends for an eternity in order to know that we vibe, we click.
Absolutely.
We have a very unique relationship. And I really just, really wanted to make you a guest because you've been a very impactful person to me at this stage in my life. And I wanted to share the goodness.
Right, share the goodness.
That you have. So without any further ado, you've worn many hats,
Right.
Veteran, entrepreneur, leader, mentor, humble beginnings. When you look back, what's the first thing that inspired you to serve and lead?
I'm a second generation Trentonian from New Jersey. I'm from Trenton, New Jersey. My father was a factory worker, blue collar, so he had a strong work ethic. And my mother had a sense of adventure. She wouldn't be afraid to travel. And she took us with her whenever she traveled to see different places outside of New Jersey. So it comes from a strong work ethic and a sense of adventure, right? So I joined the military in 1977 as a military policeman, and I was directly assigned to Germany. The lessons that I learned there, I couldn't get anyplace else, okay? Because it is multicultural, multi-ethnic, and we all wear the same suit, and we had U.S. Army on the side. That's what we had in common. And the thing that I enjoyed most about that is that regardless of what the objective was, we all worked together. We all worked together. So that part I carry with me because that's where I come from, right? I was over in Germany for 35 years. So the majority of my life has been spent in Germany, and not to mention the countries that surround it. So I'm a retired federal agent. I am an intelligence professional, right? So that caused me to interact with different countries, right? So while I was doing it, I considered myself a trainer, coach, and mentor. So through that period, that's what I did. The positions that I had, that's not important. The important thing to me is that each one teach one, pull one up. I was able to train, coach, and mentor, and I still interact with some of those people today. They still call me. So that's a beautiful thing, right? I retired October 2017, it'll be 8 years this month. Moved from Germany here. I wish I knew what general said it. I just can't remember. I think it was Colin Powell, but I'm not 100% sure. But anyway, I live by this. And he said, a leader should ask himself 3 questions every day. What's happening? What's not happening? What can I do to influence change? So when I moved here, I'm not from Tampa, right? But when I moved here, I looked at what was happening in my surroundings. I saw what wasn't happening, and I started my foundation to influence change. And the name of my foundation is called Land on Your Feet, right? But in order to feed it, I created these events. I do 3 events a year. You and I met at the Ebony Affair, right? Borderworks. That's where you and I met, right? Correct. We actually met at Coronas, but then you followed and say, hey, I want to see what you do, okay? And that's where our relationship started. And the purpose of it is to create an environment where mature-minded people can come and interact, relax, eat, have a smoke and a beverage or two, listen to live music. But the purpose of it is to feed the foundation scholarships, right? That's my first one. The second one is the Land on Your Feet Jazz Festival. Next year, it'll be 7 years. Live music. I rent the entire Waterworks Park. Most of the bands are from Tampa because I want to promote local talent, right? my last event for the year would be the Ivory Affair,
Mhm.
which is at the beautiful Davis Island Garden Club. It's more intimate, between 40 to 60 people. The same thing, food, live music, at a beautiful scene, and we raise money. Those are the three things I do to help feed my nonprofit. And to date, 20 kids have gotten scholarships in the last 5 years from my foundation, because I thoroughly believe if you could think, you could land on your feet.
Okay.
Doesn't matter where you come from. But anyway,
That's deep.
okay?
I love that.
Okay.
I want to go back a little bit because you said a lot in the very beginning about your military experience overseas,
Right.
working with different groups and people.
Right.
How did that experience shape your leadership style and how you approach, and now you do a lot of business? How did that experience shape how you do and approach your leadership style in business today?
The majority of my references are military, whether it be enlisted people, officers, warrant officers. Because I always look at the leaders and I used to ask them questions. How did you do that? And why did you make that decision?
Yes.
So we put that in our toolbox. There's certain nuggets I would just keep and put in my toolbox. And obviously I have to make it my own, right? But I took the best of what I saw. In the corporate world, they call it best business practice. But in leadership, I call that best business practice. So that's what it was. And the other thing is, there is something that changed me. And I would say the majority of people who raise their right hand and swear to the Constitution to protect and defend against all enemies, both foreign and domestic. And there's only 1% of this entire country that has to defend this country. When I raised my right hand, there was something that just happened. I can't tell you, but it was an emotional thing, right? So, and again, it wasn't always a perfect situation. But one thing I do know is that emphatically, when it was a task, regardless of whether I was mad at you, or you didn't like me or whatever, we had to work together to complete the task, okay? Now, after the task was over, sometimes we maintained friendship and then it was a break and we go our separate ways. But when there was a common task or a task for us to complete, we worked together. We had to, okay? So that taught me resiliency, patience, determination, and persistence. So those are the tools that I brought with me and carry with me to this day. There is, and I'm trying to remember the acronym, core values, Army core values, because values are important. We all have them. We have them in industry, we have them in families, we have them in business. Core values.
Yes.
Right? And the military gave me those core values.
Yes.
Which was leadership, honor, loyalty, respect, selfless service. Those are those core values that I carry with me today. And I have those core values for my foundation, right? Or similar, right?
Yeah.
Those are non-negotiables. If you don't have any integrity, you can't come near land on your feet. If you're not honest, I don't want you near this, land on your feet, because these are those core values.
Right.
And I've had to have some hard experiences, and that's part of doing business, where those who say, I mentioned that the other day, a lip professor. A lip professor is one who says but does not.
Correct.
So there were some lip professors who saw what I was doing and wanted to kind of tag on in. And I just thought, okay, hope for the best, plan for the worst, right? So those are the things those core values and the professional relationships with leaders, right? And non-leadership positions, but just those folks who were professional at what they did, right? I still have those today. I talk to one a couple times a week. I just had a visit with a young lieutenant who is now back in the day, I knew him when he was a young lieutenant. I was his mentor. Today, he is a professor of military science at Florida Southern College, who incidentally, one of the young ladies got a scholarship recently. So those are the things, that's one of those things that helped me shape me. Everything going back to my father's work ethics, to my mother's sense of adventure, that I took with me. You know why? Because everywhere I go, there I am. Okay. But anyway.
I love that. So
did I answer your question?
Of course,
Okay.
1,000%.
Okay.
And it led me into, one of the reasons why I felt inspired to, profile our local leaders, our local business entrepreneurs, our local heroes, is because in this society, we tend to put celebrities and those that are under the bright lights and who are, making a lot of money and
Right.
and the sort up on a pedestal.
Right.
And when you do that, you put those people on a pedestal, you expect those things that you spoke about when you talk about, courage,
Right.
fearlessness, integrity,
Right.
things of that nature. And when you say, I look around to see what's happening and what's not happening, I do the same thing. I notice on the television certain people in certain positions not adhering and showing those qualities of virtue. It makes me think, man, why are you in that position, but you're not exhibiting the attributes and characteristics of people that we normally see in that position.
Right.
So I felt like, listen, we need to highlight the local, the people may not get a lot of shine, not a lot of light, but are doing things the right way. They're exhibiting the qualities that we want our children to emulate because the children are watching.
Right.
So that being said, how important is ethos or modus operandi or just a higher level way or just a level of way of doing things? How important is that when you do anything, especially business?
I like the Marine Corps ethos that goes semper gumby, which means always flexible. And again, coming from a military environment, we had to be flexible and adaptable to situations. And I bring that with me, So one of the things that I did find as I was moving around, to see what was happening, I saw pockets of goodness is what I call them.
I like that.
There were pockets of goodness, whether it be from a fraternity, a sorority, a church, a school, groups, whatever. There were pockets of goodness, right? And the thing that they all had in common was that they were doing something to give back to the community in one way, shape, or form. So what I do is just another pocket of goodness. We don't have to do the same thing, but I believe if our goal is to uplift and give back, right? That's the important part for me. And I think about Winston Churchill. He said, you make a living by what you earn and you make a life by what you give. So I made a living. I'm a comfortable person. I'm a retired federal employee. I'm certainly not rich, okay? But I have enough, okay? You're right. And plus I'm dipping in my kids' inheritance.
And rich is relative, yes?
Right, it is very relative,
Yeah.
but whatever's left after I'm done, God bless her. But
Sorry-
anyway.
sorry, kids.
But anyway, so that's that part where, that's the giving part for me, is to give back, right? And just to backtrack a little bit on the intelligence community, I worked in rooms where it was dark and the only thing that was lit was monitors. And there wasn't a lot of light, but the monitors was and it was just in a big room and, young people from various backgrounds doing intelligence work. And I was amazed by that. And they come from various backgrounds, they weren't senior people. They were like in their early 20s, but they were collecting information and intelligence and putting it together and giving it to the decision maker so they can make a decision on how we move, how the Army would move or other DOD elements. First 12 or 14 scholarships was totally focused on STEM, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. So for the first 12 or 14, I don't know exactly how many, it was STEM focused. These are young people who had already been accepted to college in a STEM discipline, right? They got the scholarship, right? But recently, in the last 2 years, I shifted my focus because when I look around and I see they're just pulling communities and whatever out of the ground, especially out where I live in Pasco County.
Right.
So what that told me is that there is a need for vocational skills. There's a place and a space for any young person who has a vocational skill. So I established a relationship with Irwin Technical College here in Tampa. And to date, I think I've given 6 scholarships: welder, plumber, electrician, a dental tech, a construction technology engineer, okay? And the good thing about that is they get their scholarship, they get a $500 scholarship, and that helps them buy their stuff, whatever they need, right? But the good thing about that is when they complete or get their certification, they have a job
That's huge.
and no debt.
Listen, the trades is where it's at.
That's where it's at.
The trade will always feed you. Will
Absolutely.
always put money on the table, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And that's very important. And then I want to go back a little bit because we aren't finished products. We evolve and we become.
Right.
But when you learn a trade very early, that skill, it grows with you as a person, right? Can you share one of the defining moments in your early career when you were just coming up that put you on the course for the rest of your life on how and what version of Rush you wanted to pursue life as?
Well, and that's a good question because there are some key individuals in my life that saw goodness in me and a lot of potential. But, you know, I was like a hammer. Every problem was a nail. Okay. Very rough around the edges. And thank God I had great mentors who didn't look like me. One was from North Dakota. Not a lot of Black people up in North Dakota.
Sure.
But he was a retired intelligence professional and just very plain spoken, very direct. And what I loved about him, resting in peace, what I loved about him, he allowed me to make mistakes. And that's important because I don't have all the answers, right? I know what I know, and I got that one tool is a hammer, right? So, but he allowed me to make mistakes and protected me, right? And pulled me in and said, don't do that again, and here's why, or do this or do that. Because I would always ask him those questions. Well, how'd you come to that decision? I was that guy who was always asking questions. And I'll tell you something I used to do when I was coming up, when all my hair was black, you know, but like yours, you know. One of the things I used to do whenever he was on leave or not in the office, I would go sit in his chair and I would spin around in his chair and I would push buttons on the phone. And I did sit in that chair above, you know. So I was what they call a fast tracker.
Yeah.
I was passing people up because I had the energy, okay? I had the energy. And he helped me give me that knowledge, which is now wisdom, okay? So that's those things that help mold me professionally and as a leader. So.
And you learned you could take something from someone that doesn't necessarily look like you or come from where you come from.
Absolutely.
And that person was open to teach you and give you the.
Absolutely. Some people say opportunity only comes around once. That's BS. Opportunity happens every day like water running over pebbles in a stream. But if you don't know what right looks like, yes, it will pass you by.
Yes.
But first is, what does right look like for me?
Right.
And I knew what right looked like. I couldn't articulate it like I am now, but I knew what right looked like early.
And when you say you knew what right looked like, you weren't seeing with your eyes, you were seeing with your head and your heart?
Well, that's a great segue because I just finished reading a book called Don't Believe Everything You Think. And what the author says is there's thought, which is creative and non-emotional, right? And then there's thinking. The thinking can counteract the thought, the creativity. So it's the thought. And I'll just use this as an example. What you're doing all started out with a thought. The creative piece, facts, okay? It started, I don't care if you make pencils, okay? It started out with a thought first.
Yes.
Creative, right? The thinking part is, what do I need? How am I going to do it? What resources do I need? And I'm looking, you got resources, okay? And you knew how you wanted to do it. So it's called outcome method resources. Once you understand what the outcome is, and this is your outcome, right? The method is how I'm going to do it. And the resources is what I need to get me there. And it's almost, if you almost look at it, it's almost like a pyramid, right? Starts here, the thought, outcome, and then methods and resources, and it comes back up and feeds. That makes sense?
Yeah.
Okay. That's what I mean by what right looks like. And you mentioned the heart. I wrote an article for a magazine called Head, Heart, Gut. The head is, like I said, is the thought. It's not emotional. It's analytical. It's critical thinking, right? It's logical, right? The heart is the emotional piece. And that's the difference between, because I hear people say, they got to do the right thing. What is the difference between doing the right thing and doing things right? The thought is doing things right. The emotional piece is doing the right thing. Okay? And the third piece to that is your gut. And that's your instinct. That's your intuition. And I believe this. I have no scientific proof other than observing people who have achieved things that they wanted to achieve over 30 years. When all three are working together, head, heart, and gut, you can't be stopped. Cannot be stopped.
There's alignments.
Right. I think they all have to agree. And I'll give you an example. My head's in it. Yeah, it makes sense. My heart, I can feel myself doing that. Something don't feel right.
That part.
That part.
That part.
You could override it.
Yes.
But then when you look back, when it doesn't go as planned, you go back, something told me not to do that. Or I could do it at any too. Or, my heart's in it, my head's in it. This feels good. My head's in it. Gut says, yeah, I feel like, but my heart ain't really in it.
That part.
All three have to work in unison.
Yes.
It's like, yep, that's it. Gotta hear. I love that. I can get the emotional feeling of it. That's the attachment.
Yes. So let me stop you there, because emotional intelligence, awareness, and a self-concept all come into mind, in which as young Black men, we don't always have the tools. I have a father who, I love to death, and, he my father, period. I don't need to say anything more about that. However, because of circumstances, he wasn't necessarily in the house a lot to give us the nuggets and the things about life per se. He was more hustling, trying to put food on the table, which is excellent. That in and of itself is a leadership example that, I carry on to this day. But at the end of the day, we don't necessarily know how, as Black men coming out, we don't necessarily have that father figure in the household.
Right.
And we don't necessarily have the village of, examples that can teach us those things that we need to know about ourselves as people. Emotional intelligence, being able to handle your emotions. First of all, how did you come to realize that that was a crucial part of your development as a leader? And number two, how do you reconcile emotions when you're struggling through a challenge?
What you talk about, the village, I grew up like that. In a neighborhood. And if you did something you weren't supposed to do, it got back to my mother or my father.
Correct.
Okay? Miss So-and-so could be sitting on the porch like, leave that alone. Get over there. Stop that. Okay? So that was the neighborhood.
Yeah.
Okay? That was that community part, right? So I grew up like that. And it didn't matter where I went. Wait a minute, don't you? I know I was acting up one time. I must have been about 12 or 13. And I don't know if this man was telling the truth or not, but I was acting up, right? And this guy said, I know your daddy, boy. I said, I'm sorry, sir, excuse me. Okay, I got to tighten up real quick, okay? Because there were consequences. Yes. Okay, there were consequences,
Yes.
okay?
Yes.
So, and there wasn't a lot of talk with my dad, take the garbage out, boy. Do this. There wasn't a lot of, I saw him going to work and come home ashy.
Right.
From working in the factory.
Yeah.
Okay. But the times are different, obviously.
Absolutely.
And there's several sociological reasons why, we just lost, during that whole epidemic of drugs and all this other stuff, we lost a lot of young people. However, I see a resurgence of young men, right? And I compliment them when I see them with the kids or with the family or pushing the stroller, So I see a resurgence of that. And so I'm encouraged. I'm encouraged by that. So again, that's where I'm coming from, and that's that whole perspective thing, right?
Yeah.
Right. And then, with my dad, I kept the best and threw away the rest. Kept the best and threw away the rest. I can't do nothing with the other stuff, but I did something with the best that he was able to offer, and it wasn't a lot of conversation. I would tell you the only bonding time really I had with my dad was Monday Night Football, and that's why I'm a Raiders fan today.
Okay.
Right. We would sit and watch Monday Night Football, and I can remember I could have either been a Steelers fan, they call them Steelers up there. I could have either been a Steelers fan or a Raiders. And there was something about, I remember it was Otis Sistrunk sitting on the bench, steam coming from his head. My dad was like, look at that egg on Otis. Boy, he's a dirty son of a gun. Boy, I like. So I'm a Raiders fan.
Right.
But that was that male bonding time. Right?
Absolutely.
And then watching the Three Stooges, I think. But anyway.
I remember last week I was watching in the news about the young brother, Kyron Lacey. He was a standout football player from LSU. And he got
I heard about that.
he got into an accident on the road, and
Killed somebody, right?
he was told that he
Right.
caused an accident that ended up in a fatality. And going from someone that's about to make
Right.
millions of dollars
Rock
in the
star.
NFL to possibly spending time in jail.
Right.
That was a difficult thing for him to handle. So he took his own life.
Right.
And I guess my question is had he known that maybe things could work out, maybe he wasn't necessarily the cause of the accident, as further
Right.
information has come to light
Right.
in regards to that. So I guess my question for you is, how do you set up kids, or how do you set up yourself to handle failures, to handle criticism, and how do you push forward when those things, come about?
Well, first of all, there's no one harder on ourselves than we are on ourselves. No one. We can beat ourselves up, right?
Yeah.
More than anybody else that's external.
Facts.
Right? So I go on that. So I feed myself goodness. Okay. And sometimes when my brain starts spinning too fast, I say out loud, okay, that's enough. And I stop. Okay. Because that's that thinking part interfering with the thoughts. Right. So I just stop. I pause, like, why am I getting upset over this? I can give it to you in a sports metaphor. I can give it to you in a military metaphor. I can give it to you in a spiritual. I can give it to you the way I see it. Which one you want?
The way you see it.
Let it happen, make it happen. I wonder what the hell just happened. If I'm in a position, sometimes I gotta just let it happen, because I'm gonna harm myself trying to get involved.
Right.
Okay. I prefer to make it happen, because if I don't, I'm gonna be in a position like, what the hell just happened if I didn't do anything? If I'm not involved, goes back to that. What can I do to influence change? It's you see the thread, right?
Yeah.
So those are the things that I look at. And I look like, okay, is there anything I can do? Yes or no? And if it's yes, then what? If it's no, leave it alone. That's what I do, because that helps me. It helps my peace, right? We all have our own sense of core values, right? And they're not the same. We don't walk around with them on our sleeve.
Correct.
Right? And I think the person has to make their own decision. That goes back to the whole land on your feet. So, and when you talk about failure, when I give the scholarship, these are young people who have already bubbled to the top, and they know they're going to school to change their life. They have to write a 1,000-word essay, and I put the most weight on, what are you going to do after you graduate to help your community and society?
How are you going to pay it forward?
How are you going to pay it forward? And I prefer to put my energy there, and people ask, do you follow up to see how they're doing? Sometimes it depends on who it is, I mean, maybe 2 of the 15, I actually called, hey, how's it going? That kind of thing. Because I'm real careful. I have to protect myself. I don't want to get emotional about it. It's like, oh my God, it's a drag on my energy. So I prefer to, get those kids, that bubble to the top, and they need some money, they're already going.
Right.
When you say failure, if you want to call it failure, it doesn't work out as planned.
Yeah.
I just found, I said, like, well, that's another way I'm not going to do that again.
You learned the lesson.
I learned.
You learned the lesson.
And the military taught me that whenever after we do whatever we were doing, I would sit, because of where I sat in the organization.
Yeah.
We would sit down and do lessons learned. What went well? Let's keep doing that.
Right.
What didn't go so well? What do we need to do to change that?
Right.
Basically, that's it down in those. They got a fancy phrase for it. Military decision-making process. Basically, it's lessons learned. What went well? What didn't go so well?
Right.
Let's figure out what we need to do to make sure it goes well in the future.
Absolutely.
Okay. So it's called calculated risk. We have to do that. We had to do that because we had people involved, lives,
Correct.
safety, whatever.
Correct. Okay. So when you're your head, your heart, and your gut don't align, and you're kind of stuck, how do you get re-inspired to get re-engaged into something? And is it okay to give up on something
if something's not lining up, right? Whatever it is, find out why first before you proceed. That's my recommendation. Find out why. I don't care if it's in here, it don't make sense. I'm not attached to your emotion or your gut. Find out why.
Right.
And once you find out why, then the question is, here's the answer to your question: is the juice worth the squeeze?
Is the juice worth the squeeze?
Is the juice worth the squeeze?
Right.
Okay. So then you may have to just roll it back and go, you know what? It ain't worth the juice.
Yeah,
Okay?
yeah,
All right?
yeah,
It's too much.
yeah,
So it's like, that's too much. I'm
yeah.
tapping out.
And then, so when you have an idea that you're working on, what would you say is the overall benefit outside of the dollars and cents? Like, what is, land on your feet? I assume that's the project that you're most proud of, right?
Right.
What do you
Well, I'm
envision?
most proud of being a father of 5 daughters who were great. I am most proud of that. They're great human beings. They're great Americans. No issues. They're beautiful people.
Yeah,
I'm most proud of that.
that's first and
Okay.
foremost.
First and foremost. Right.
Okay.
Mhm.
Where do you envision the best case scenario for land on your feet in the next 5 to 10 years?
2027, as it stands right now, would be my last Land on Your Feet Jazz Festival, as it stands right now. That's my plan, because I'm going to relocate. What I would like to see, what I envision is the city or someone saying, we still like that Land on Your Feet Jazz Festival, Mr. Rushdan. We still want to do that. And I want them, whoever they are, to pick up the tab. I'll come with my name, my face, the same vibe I've been doing for the last 6 years. It'll be 26. Okay. So that's the vision, is to get it, once I'm no longer here, I relocate, it still happens. Now the golf tournament is not going to happen. I'm not coming back to that, my Ivory Fair, no, but the jazz festival, yeah. Because again, what I tell people at the event is apples and coconuts. Your ticket sales, your sponsorships help pay for the administrative and operational costs. Every penny that you donate goes to the scholarship.
100% donations.
100%. So I mix it up. I don't want to think, well, whatever's left. No. So while I got you in the park or wherever I have you, is like, we're donating. We're going to send 2 kids to school, or we're collecting it for 2 kids or whatever. So every penny of the 20 kids, every penny came through donations.
Well, listen, I'll tell you, man, that investment into young people's education and future is probably one of the most tangible give backs of a charity that I've seen, next to, Habitat for Humanity, right on that same level, because you can see the progression and the stabilization of a people's life when they get those blessings, those gifts, And so, STEM, I literally had a question asking why STEM as a reason to, invest into these young people's future. But then at the same time, you went to the trades as well.
Right.
Which all go hand in hand. They give you something that no one can ever take away from
Absolutely.
you. A skill set, in a sense.
So the STEM started up because it's factory based.
Right.
It's based on facts.
It's, yes.
Okay. All right. You got to be, this plus this equals that. So that's why I support a STEM. It's based on facts, not emotion. Right. And then you have to get to that conclusion, like, how did I come to that? Whatever, but it's all logical, critical thinking, analytical thinking. That's why STEM. I shipped it because there's a place in a space for people who work with their hands. And one of the other things, I looked deeper into it after about 8 years, you're a person is a journeyman, whatever that is, you can open up your own business.
And
you can open up your own business.
Hello.
Right.
Hello.
So that's just the path, right, to get there, right? So I did talk to a plumber when I gave him a scholarship, and he was an older gentleman, early 30s, but he was like, and I said, why? And he said, sir, I want to have my own business to help the community.
He already saw
He already saw that.
Yeah.
He already, right.
Yeah.
Had the thought.
And the earlier the better.
Right.
Yeah, 100%. What is one of the most common mistakes you see young people make today in anything, business, life, whatever?
There's this thing called effective listening.
Effective listening.
Yeah. To listen effectively and understand, because words mean things, and just some of the words that I may use, and a person go, yeah, I understand. But if I said, let's take a cruise, what does that mean? Go on a ship, cruise around the neighborhood, what does it mean, right? So my definition of cruise may be different than yours. You say you want to take a cruise, and all of a sudden you're over there by the doggone boats. And I'm saying, no, man, we're just going to get in the car and cruise around the neighborhood. So point is, words mean things. Right. Okay. So that's that effective listening part. And so when I'm interacting with young people, first of all, when they say, hey, sir, how'd you do that? Like you did to me 3 or 4 years ago. you know, when I was coming out of Coronas, and you were sitting there smoking a cigar, and you're like, "Hey, OG, you know what's up? You know something, right?"
Sorry, written all over your face, boy. You're like,
And I said, "What do you want to know? Everything."
just like you can see
Right,
money,
right,
you can
right,
see
right. He was
wisdom
he was
too.
like, "I want to know everything. Drop it
Right,
on me now. Give me
right.
the secret of fire right now." So, but it starts with that.
Right.
Ask the question.
Effective listening.
Effective listening.
Got it.
And a part of that is with the effective listening, that person also has to paraphrase, not quote, but paraphrase back to, which is, so, and as an example, I said, "Hey man, when you and I first met, you told me you wanted to be a championship swimmer or something, right? Did you ever tell me you want to be a champion? You told me you want to be a championship swimmer."
No.
"Oh, okay, I misunderstood. What did you say you wanted to, oh, you wanted to have your own real estate company." Got it.
There it is.
There's,
The comprehension.
right. So I'm paraphrasing back and you'd be like, "No, I didn't say that." Okay.
I didn't know if that was a trick.
No, but I wanted to show you,
Yeah,
I wanted
yeah.
to show you real world. That's
Right.
how, people hear things, right? And misunderstanding, go off things. I do want to be a championship
Yeah,
swimmer.
yeah.
Okay.
Sometimes people just listen just to
Right,
wait until they can
right.
say something.
Right,
and
right,
not necessarily listen.
So when they give it back to you in their own language, right? Then it'd be like, "Yeah, that's it. That's it.
Right.
Now we're on the same level."
Got you.
We start with that level,
Yeah.
that basic level of understanding.
Right.
Then we go up from there.
Right.
Okay.
Understand first before in order to be
Right.
understood.
Right.
Right.
That part.
5, 10, maybe going 15 years back, what was some advice that younger Rush you would give to younger Rush?
Don't be so reactive
Don't be so reactive.
on situations. I mean,
Emotionally?
emotionally, yes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay.
Right. And verbally.
Yes.
Okay.
Take a beat.
Right. Sometimes it's best to take a deep breath.
Yeah, I
Okay.
love that. That's great advice.
Yeah, just sometimes it's like you don't have to react
Right.
and jump on it.
Yes.
Step back for a little bit, pause a little bit, take a deep breath.
So you're a fan of jazz, golf, traveling. How do these hobbies influence your life today?
So I would tell you, when I was 12 years old, I was walking down the street, from the house, and I would hear this basic floor bass sound. Doom, 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 doo, doo. And I told my mom, I said, "Ma, I hear music when I walk." And my mother asked me, so she asked me when I was a grown man, "Do you still hear music?" And I do, right? I do. I mean, I walk to my own beat, right?
I love that.
Okay. I walked to my, so that was one of the things that influenced me. And I knew I was different because my dad, rest his soul, said, "Let me tell you something. If you go out there and get in trouble, do this." They didn't say do the right thing because you don't want to do right. "I'm not coming to get you out of jail. I'm not spending my money. I'm not leaving work if you can't do right." Okay. And that guided me because he was serious about that.
Yeah.
Right. So my friends wanted to do something that I thought, nah, man, I ain't doing that.
I ain't
I'm
doing
like, "Well,
all
no,
that."
I ain't doing that. He ain't gonna come get me.
That's hilarious. Yo, if your life had a jazz soundtrack, what song would best capture you best and why?
Take 5.
Take 5.
And it has to be sung by Al Jarreau because it's upbeat, it's traditional. Okay. Even though it came out in the early 60s or 50s, it's still a standard today. Okay. Take 5. Jeff Brubeck, I think.
Okay.
Okay.
I love that.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I got my mom. I like Miles Davis. He has "So What." I like that one too. I had to think about that.
Okay, that's number 2.
Yeah.
Okay.
"Feeling Orange Again" by Lettucey.
Oh, I love it, man. Oh, yeah, you had them ready. I thought I was going to trip you up a little bit. All right, you had them ready. Another hobby that you love is golf. It requires, patience, focus, two traits, 2 qualities that leaders require. What parallels do you see between the game and leadership, in your opinion?
Well, because I believe it's between, I think Mark Twain said it's a good walk spoil, right? But I believe it requires, because you're playing against the course,
Right.
not against an individual.
Right.
Okay, what club the right is. So it requires some analytical stuff. And, is this the right shot? That sort of thing. And I see that because I never had a monopoly on good ideas, and I don't now. But when I seek input, I talk to those who are at a certain level and whatever, or it doesn't matter. It could be, hey, do you think I should bring banjo, whatever, at my jazz fest,
Right.
or rap? They'd be like, and I would talk to my audience. They'd be like, it's like, but then for the operational stuff, I talk to people already at that level of where I want to be.
Right.
Okay. So that, and I take input that way because I don't have a monopoly on good ideas. I use the same thing that I used when I was working. My staff had different skill set, different strengths.
Right.
Okay.
Which is what good leaders do.
Oh,
They
absolutely
utilize
right.
their
I
team
let them
in
do their
order
thing.
to
Let them do their thing.
in order to
Right.
make the right decisions. So I
Sure.
love that. All right. So traveling, you traveled to many places.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? What's one destination that's changed your perspective the most?
Portugal.
Portugal.
Yeah. So I've been there like 9 times, I guess. I've been to 17 countries, but Portugal's my favorite. I like the ease of it. I like the feel of it. They relax. They use a phrase, they use a word that's just calm, like calm down. That's how they approach things. They don't get hectic
Okay.
they go calm,
Yeah.
calm. So when you come over it, you're all amped up. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
calm,
Yeah.
calm down.
You're going too fast for
You're
here.
going too fast.
Yeah.
That's not how we move.
Yeah.
Okay.
I
And
like that.
I love the smell of charcoal cooked food that permeates throughout the air because they cook with a lot of charcoal, wood charcoal. The country is ruggedly beautiful, and the pace is where I want to be. And I've been rolling fast. One of the things on my land on your feet coin, it says, chase greatness professionally, right? Which is here, right?
Right.
And chase goodness personally, which is here. So I went as high as I was willing to go. I chased greatness.
Yes.
Professionally. Right? I just switched that to what I'm doing now,
Yeah.
right? With my foundation. So I'm chasing goodness.
And you'll be closer to fam.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That part.
That's goodness.
I could fly over, and yeah, that's true. It's and the other thing is it's like centrally located.
Right.
For what I want to do. Any place I want to go in Europe is less than 3 hours. I fly to Lisbon, and I want to go to Venezia, Venice.
Yeah.
I want to go to Venice. I want to see that. A bit of Italy. I want to do South France, Greece.
Yeah.
Those are places I haven't been. So, yeah, that's
Goodness.
Pure goodness.
All right, man.
Pure
So
goodness.
if you could collaborate with one person, past or present, celebrity or just, anybody, who would it be and why?
Barack Obama. And I'll tell you why. First of all, he's a Leo like I am. He was born in August, but he got the Nobel Peace Prize either within the first year or shortly after that, less than a year. And for him to walk that fine line that he had to walk, and still bring the country together, both nationally and internationally, because now he has a strategic vision. Okay. And he surrounded himself with very smart people. I get that. Okay. But he maintained his cool under fire, even when they were talking about his beige suit. Okay. But he maintained his sense of humor. So that I would like to talk to him. Yeah.
Love that.
Yeah. I would like to talk to Barack Obama.
He's always had a pretty steady hand.
Yes.
Demeanor.
They call him no drama Obama. Right.
All right, my man. Final segment. You've been a veteran, a leader, a mentor, father, grandpa, pops.
Now the grandfather, right?
Great expectations. How would you hope to be remembered? If you could be remembered by any one of those things, how would you hope to be remembered?
Just put good in front of him. He was a good father.
Just put good in front of it.
He was a good friend. He was a good golfer. He was good for society. Okay. People ask about my legacy. I really don't care about it because, let's face it, 100 years from now, they're not going to remember who I am. My children don't know my great grandmother, but I knew her. Yeah, she's over 100, and she would have been definitely over 100. But I knew her, and I got to really educate them. Like, well, that was your great grandmother. Here's how So at the end of the day, I did goodness while I was here. We did good. That's it.
Love it. What's a good piece of advice you would give someone getting involved into a dream or an endeavor, business or otherwise, what's a good piece of advice that you would give that person?
Well, one of the things is it costs absolutely nothing to dream big. So I can say, imagine yourself on the top of that building over there with a cape and the wind is blowing. You could hear your cape flapping in the wind. You could hear it and you got your hands on your hip. Imagine that. And you can look. Then I want you to fly around this area and tell me what you saw. Just imagine. Don't cost anything. Some was like, well, I can't fly. Okay. Thought, thinking. It's already clashed.
Right.
And some will come back. Well, I went over and I saw the raw bar. I saw boninis. I saw. But did they actually fly? No. Our point is, it's okay to imagine and think big. Think outside yourself.
I love it.
And I call it, you've heard this before, think outside the box. Well, to me, it's still a box. And you're just outside of it. You got to walk around the sides or whatever, okay? What I prefer to do is take a balcony approach. You're actually standing on a balcony looking down and you can see how things are linked and connected in the relationships. Because you can see how it moves. It's almost like when you're playing them everything, spades or dominoes or chess. You can always see more when you're not playing. Why did he move that? Why did she? She should have did this. Because it's easy because you're not in it.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I prefer the balcony approach, like you stand on the outside watching a game of cards or dominoes or chess or checkers or whatever it is, because you can see it. So that balcony approach allows you to see how things
See
work.
the whole field.
Yeah.
I love that. All right, man. How can the audience get involved to support your mission, land on your feet, drop the Instagram or the website?
My Instagram is my LOYF, which stands for Land on Your Feet. My LOYF, MYLOYS. My website is Land on Your Feet. But you have to type in, www.myloyf.org. I'll repeat that. www.myloyf.org.
Excellent. That's a wrap, ladies and gentlemen. Another man walking in his presence, Rushdan. I appreciate your time today.
I appreciate the
Humble
opportunity.
beginnings, great expectations.
I appreciate the opportunity.
My man. Let's hit these cigars, my boy.